All right, everyone, we should be live. We'll make sure that is actually the case. Of course, today's news roundup, we have, I think, 11 or 12. I'm not exactly sure. News items to cover. I will be getting to super chats as well. You can, of course, post them. I will try to get to them all. Occasionally, I forget one. It's a big problem. We've got a lot to cover today. Of course, Zawahiri getting droned by the U.S. military. It's the student loan kerfuffle. Gordon Ramsay's TikTok video with regards to selecting a lamb for the slaughter, so to speak. It has triggered many people. It doesn't trigger me or anyone else who's being honest, but yeah, we'll be getting to this all. We've got a lot of shit to cover today. A lot of it is humorous. Nancy Pelosi is going to Taiwan. That has been officially announced, so that's the main one, I guess. Let's make sure we're actually live on Rumble. There are people watching, so we'll see. Hopefully that's the case. Yes, indeed, we're live on Rumble. And I see that the Rumble rants are working as well. Salty Baked Idahoan, 5x5 on Rumble sticks. Yes, and Cam2425IA points out something that's very interesting. We will talk about this. Apparently, according to the UK's intel sources, Zawahiri was already dead in 2020. This is the same as bin Laden. Of course, you never saw pictures of his mangled body. You never saw any forensic evidence whatsoever that he'd been killed in that raid in the Obama era, which was for political purposes announced, by the way. He was buried at sea under very, very strange circumstances. Not something that's actually genuinely Islamic, although he claimed it at the time. I'm assuming that he hoped that people were ignorant of Islam as a religion and their burial practices, actually. We never saw any evidence of that. I think that one chick, I can't remember her name, who led Pakistan for a while, thought that he had died years before of kidney failure, actually. I consider that to be fairly credible, by the way. Anyway, just a second here. Let me make sure that everything is in line, so that we have no interruptions. No service outages on the Sticks, Hex, and Hammer News Roundup stream. We've got about 1,000 people already tuning in. For some reason, more people tune in on weekdays, actually, sometimes. It's very strange. I don't know. I guess I'm the morning show. Tall person, glad to catch one of these live. Keep up the good work and have a lovely day. It is lovely so far. I am making paneer. That is a form of cheese, no rennet, etc. It's sort of like an Indian-style cottage cheese. You just bring milk up to a little bit before boiling, and then you add an acid to it. Lemon juice is usually used. Squeeze it through a cheesecloth once it separates, and then you can cut it into pieces and use it for matar paneer, which is what I'm going to be making tomorrow. Oh, I can't wait. I've had it before. It's so goddamn delicious. It's buttery, there's peas, it's tomatoey. It's literally everything that you want out of a food. No Yenes, Sticks, what's the deal with so many people in the U.S. caring about Israel and Palestine? Like, what the fuck do they have to do with us? Absolutely nothing. People have been programmed to believe that it's relevant. Yes, Benazir Bhutto, Monkey Grab Orange, telling me the name of the Pakistani prime minister, actually, from years ago, who was assassinated on under suspicious circumstances not long after she declared that bin Laden actually had already died. Adam THM, remember when Biden droned all those kids and aid workers and called it ISIS? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yeah, do we have any confirmation whatsoever that Zawahiri was actually killed in this strike? You won't get any. When you fire a couple of Hellfire missiles and you vaporize everything that you're attacking, it's very convenient if the target was not actually there. We will get right into it, though. Al-Qaeda's Zawahiri survived harsh mountains, killed in posh Kabul locality. I've got so many questions about this story. The first one is, are we going to get any evidence that Zawahiri is dead? The second is, if he's dead, who gives a shit? He had already been largely displaced anyway by various successors within Al-Qaeda because he was old. He was not in good health. He was ailing already and had been for a couple of years. Number three, is it not concerning that he was supposedly in Afghanistan at the time, breaking the Doha Agreement, actually? I pointed this out earlier. I pointed this out this morning. Effectively, what this amounts to is that the Taliban was caught with its pants down and or does not care that al-Qaeda has reestablished a presence in Afghanistan. Now, as a libertarian, I don't want to police Afghanistan. I don't care about what al-Qaeda does there. I don't care what the Taliban does there. It's good that we got out. It's sad that we didn't keep to the initial timeline and make things more orderly. Biden completely screwed up in the process. It is good, though, that we're no longer involved. Why are we running drones, therefore, over Kabul, of all places, the capital of Afghanistan, in order to kill him? Who cares? You'd be better off keeping the symbolic leader who's ailing alive so that he can show weakness to other people. They go in for a meeting and they're like, well, here are today's targets. Here are the kids we want to abduct today. Here are the the people we want to terrorize. And he's a complete vegetable. He can't even get out of bed. He's sitting there by his AK-47. He can't even fucking lift the thing. Yeah, that inspires confidence. Unfortunately, what happens now is that someone who might be completely worse takes over al-Qaeda's leadership and might be 30, 40 years younger and actually has more spark, more charisma. Thank you, Joe Biden. Really cool. And it's coincidental that this happens a few months before the midterms, by the way. Right at the dawn of August, right at the exact perfect time for him to claim a major foreign policy success. I don't think that people are taken in by it, but yeah. A drunk changeling. Your show is like 7 a.m. in America, so on weekends I sleep past it. Also, Mutur Pindar is amazing. Don't skimp on the butter. Yes, there will be lots and lots of creamy goodness in there. Otis Buntrager. Hey, Sticks, love your stuff. Do you have an opinion on the Michigan GOP primary? I actually covered that the other day, so refer to my previous video on the topic. The big one is Arizona. We have the gubernatorial primary today. If you are in Arizona, please vote for Kari Lake. Don't stay home. Don't say, well, you know, she's 10 points ahead, so I'm not going to bother. No, you should bother. Because there are already there's a bellwether for shenanigans in Maricopa County going on right now. You need to overwhelm the polls with superior numbers to the point where it's impossible for any honking to happen. You also have two different primaries actually against impeachers in Washington State. I think they're both in Washington 4, if I remember correctly. I may be wrong on that. I think Michigan 3 is the other one. You got Joe Kent. You've got, I can't remember their names, actually, right off the top of my head. Let me refer to my own video on the subject. I did it literally the other day. I'm doing my best, but when I'm doing news roundups, if I have a dozen topics to cover, something slipped my mind. It was, yeah, I did a standalone the other day. Just a second, everyone. Let me get these names. Kari Lake in Arizona. So she has been endorsed by Donald Trump. Robson, who is her opponent, has been endorsed by Pence. We need to make sure in Arizona that the Pence-endorsed opponent loses, preferably by double digits. There will be shenanigans there, unfortunately. John Gibbs in Michigan to unseat Peter Meijer. They're trying to fearmonger about that seat and say, well, if Meijer loses, this seat is basically a 50-50. Who cares? It doesn't matter if you have a Republican in there who won't hold their ground. Lauren Culp and Joe Kent, I believe, both in Washington 3 or 4. I can't remember. Respectively against Dan Newhouse and Jaime Herrera Beutler. I expect, here's my prediction. I think that today during the primaries, which I'm going to be looking into, and trust me, they will make an appearance in tomorrow's live stream. I think that 3 of these will go the MAGA way. I don't know which ones will. Kari Lake is pretty much assured unless there's shenanigans. I think that 2 of the others probably go towards populism, but you need to get out and vote. So if you're in Michigan, Washington State, or Arizona, in any of the affected areas, you need to go vote. The same fly that's been trundling around. Oh, I think I may have just killed it. I think that I just ping-yowed the fly. Fuck you. The Fat Controller. A favorite Clinton tactic when facing low polls was lobbing cruise missiles at Muslims to get a boost in the polls. A Muslim interviewed after 9/11 said this further fueled anti-American sentiment. I've talked about that before. What happens when you kill someone and potentially kill innocent standbys, civilians that are just in the general area. And we're not going to get confirmation of that, by the way, for quite some time. You flatten a house with Hellfire missiles. You kill Zawahiri, supposedly. We don't know whether that's actually true or not. Did anybody else die in these strikes? You know, if some 12-year-old kid dies, maybe their dad takes up his AK-47 and says enough is enough. That happens fairly quickly. Rick, hoi sticks, heb je al een beetje Netherlands geleerd? I don't know exactly what you just said. I'm sorry, but I'm not fluent in Dutch. I am learning, though. I'm making a concerted effort, but I'm not linguistically talented outside of English and Old English. I've got a working command of Old English to the point where I can read documents from like the 1500s. Not so good with Dutch and also French, which I do know some of. Green Luigi, what culture do you want to see be? What culture do you want to be seen made by libertarian creators beyond Ripaverse, Daily Wire Plus, and that Tim Pool show nobody watches? I think Clankdom needs a seat at the table. I'm just saying. Next Pork Fest, maybe there will be a clanker aisle. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. California assault weapons ban was remanded back to St. Benitez yesterday. The case will become the standard in the Ninth Circuit, and the anti-gunners are freaking out. Yes, I did see this. The Ninth Circuit has referred to Bruin and is devolving that case with regards to magazine restrictions, etc. In California, of all places, to be clear. If this is successful, and I mean, I can't imagine a legal way by which it wouldn't be, they might do a workaround or something like that. It hazards all of the magazine restrictions in the country. When I get back to the United States, when I'm in Vermont, I want to be able to get a 110 round fucking 22 drum and hook that up with a Gatling crank and go to town. I can cut down trees with that shit. I think that it's wonderful. Yes, the Supreme Court has definitely been a friend to guns over the last few months. Mr. Wonderful, the U.S., Russia is bad. The U.S., drone strike on sovereign Afghanistan is fine. Well, the Russians do similar things. It is a bipolar sort of situation. Russia is bad. To be clear, Putin is an authoritarian, and people shouldn't forget that. The fact that he plays the orthodox game and pretends to be religious or traditionalistic is horseshit. He eats the caviar and drinks the fine vodka and has billion-dollar mansions. That being said, yes, the United States foreign policy is absolutely wonky. We're not making any friends the way that we're operating right now. Haverkamp Harassment Chronicles. Trump said drug dealers should be executed. How can you still support him when you're so far apart on this? Well, because in the preponderance of different opinions that he is simply better than the alternative. I would point out that Joe Biden was the architect of the 94 tough on crime bill that jailed hundreds of thousands of people for simply possessing drugs. And anyway, you're not going to get the execution of drug dealers anyway, so. The Happy Plague Doctor. Gary from Nerdrotic said, you're welcome on Friday Night Tights anytime. That'd be killer. I have heard of Nerdrotic, actually. Yeah, I mean, if he wants to DM me on Twitter, or we can get something going, go ahead and contact him. Tell him I'm on board. So yeah, Zawahiri supposedly is dead. We're not 100% sure, number one. Number two, it's meaningless. And number three, I noticed that there's a huge AstroTurf right now on legacy media claiming that Biden had some central role to play, even though Zawahiri, if he was still alive and the strike actually involved him, probably was on the radar for months at a time. Even the mainstream media is saying, well, after weeks of talks, he finally gave the green light to take him out. Who cares? Nobody. Matthew Moore sent 99 cents Australian. Thank you. Yeah, if Nerdrotic wants me on, a bunch of people are commenting on that. Absolutely. All you got to do is contact me. Next story from Fox Business. So you know that it's going to be propaganda. Biden's decisions on student loan pause forgiveness expected this month. Yes, indeed, you may have to start actually repaying your debt at some point in the immediate future. I have a feeling that they'll issue another extension. Disclaimer, this is not fiscal advice. operate from the assumption that they're going to resume the debt payments. The problem is that you have a recession, you have inflation that is outpacing wage growth, you have low consumer and business confidence, low labor force participation, especially among the younger. You don't really have anything positive with regards to the economy. The only saving grace, I suppose, is that the gas prices actually have come down about $1 from their peak. Other than that, you've got nothing. It would be suicidal to restart them at this particular time. I support doing so. I don't want student loan debt forgiveness. I'm not interested in the government paying off the debt that I personally took out. I did that of my own accord. I'll pay it off myself. And that being said, if you restart the payments, you probably fuck the economy even harder. I don't think that forgiving student loan debt would really help the economy, because most of those people, they would just go from eating ramen every night to eating Campbell's. So it's not really going to help the economy. They're not actually going to use that money to start a business or something. But I think the opposite, which is resuming the payments, shoves the economy, which is already almost underwater, deep underwater. You're effectively drowning the economy. Unfortunately, I don't see an easy solution to this. The easiest solution, ethically speaking, is resume the payments. People took out debt, let them deal with the debt. The problem is there are so many people, and you've gone so long not making them repay, that they've readjusted their budgets, assuming that they're not going to have to repay. Oh boy, millions of people all of a sudden living under a bridge. I don't know exactly how we get out of this without some sort of deal, some sort of arrangement. Tommy, totally not your federal handler, McMorrow. Dude, out Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson. They've done Rogan several times. Non-esoteric alternative history, exploring the clearly incorrect civilizational timeline. Fascinating, super fun. Excellent. Battle Elf, Brandon also made it impossible to declare bankruptcy on student loans. I believe that was actually Obama, not Biden. Steady Eddie, 1983. You can't give a whole country to a terrorist organization and then take a victory lap when you supposedly knock just one off the board. Yeah, and it was a symbolic leader. Zawahiri is an old man who's got various health problems. He's not in charge of Al-Qaeda. I would like to ask the Biden admin, why was he found supposedly in Afghanistan, thus brazenly violating the Doha Agreement? You assured people that everything was going to be fine. Yeah, after leaving billions of dollars in weaponry behind, the Taliban is extremely well armed. They can't even fucking deal with this. Does that not argue the idea that the Taliban is working with Al-Qaeda again? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be surprised if they weren't, but you assured us that this particular eventuality wouldn't happen. Green Luigi, you see China is about to have a really brutal financial crisis. Just saw a tasty documentary on it. Give it a cheeky look if you haven't yet. Have a cheeky nosh, a cheeky nosh, kid. Fat cunt, steak and kidney. I remember that meme. Troublesome boner, what's this chuffing thing your kid does? Is it anything like boofing? They grow up so fast. Chuffing is when they're not like crying or something, but they're fussing around and they're like kicking their feet and waving their hands around. They're on the cusp of being pissed off, but they're not quite pissed off yet. They're just uncomfortable and something is lacking. Maybe they're a little bit hungry. Maybe they peed or something like that. Lavish Patch Kid. There's only two kinds of leftists, those born into money and those who would do anything for the money. Their words are just rhetoric. Tim is the latter. I don't know who Tim is. Are you talking about Timcast? I get a little bit tired of people that are pissing on Timcast, actually, on my streams. I like the dude. I like the cut of his jib. He's putting up ads in New York Times and Times Square about his fucking the chickens in his backyard. He can't be all bad now, can he? No, Yanez, you ever going on the Lex Friedman podcast or JRE? Yeah, if invited, I suppose. Journey Trials Enjoy. Pains me to see that Marburg virus disease has started to spread in my home nation of Ghana. How long do you think this virus will be in the West? Well, Marburg has routine breakouts in parts of West and Central Africa, so I wouldn't be too concerned. Not unless China is revealed over the last months to have been playing around with Marburg virus. Then it'll probably go pandemic, just like monkeypox. So yeah, the second piece of news today is that Biden apparently this month, at some point at the end of the month, he's going to decide on what he's going to do with student loans. I oppose forgiving them, and I say this as someone with several tens of thousands in student loan debt. I'll take care of it myself. I don't want you to touch it. Don't force me to liquidate a significant proportion of all my savings to pay it off out of principle, because I will. I will not accept student loan debt forgiveness. I'll pay it off myself in cash. I realize that there are people that can't do that, that would benefit from student loan debt forgiveness. The problem is that it's not going to have a positive impact on the economy. If anything, you just inflate the currency more. You got $5,000 of student loan debt relief. Yay, you're free and clear. Now that ramen that you were eating before that was, whatever, $1 a piece or something, now it's $2.99. How wonderful for you. You can skip more meals because they forgave your student loan debt. Not going to help anybody. Stan Theon, the one and only. Sticks, ever made your own bear or garam masala? No, I just get the masala mix, actually. I've got quite a bit of it in my herb drawer. I've got an entire drawer over literally to the side of me, and all of it's full of is herbs and spices. I don't even know exactly how many I've got. Eric Wilson. Deafening clank. Richard Reynolds. Love sticks. Mrs. Sticks. Little sticks. There's a lot of sticks around here. Bradley Wolfhorst. What do you think the chances are that the midterms in the 24 Pres election actually are done fairly and not fortified or messed with? Some states have already defortified. We're going to see a bellwether in Arizona as of the next 24 hours. Again, if you are in Arizona, vote for Kari Lake. Even if you hold your nose, I realize, okay, low political experience, was a talk show host, I think, actually, before. Better than the alternative that was literally endorsed by fucking Mike Pence, of all people. If only to own Mike Pence, vote for Kari Lake in Arizona. Battle Elf. A quick Google's check sticks. It was Brandon that made it impossible to default on student loans in 2005 when in the Senate. Oh, interesting. So it's a Bush era thing. Why am I not surprised? Bush Obama. Same shit, different asshole. Oh, God. I'm trying to kill this other fly, too. Let's see if I can get it. Not quite. Otherwise, I don't know why they like the webcam so much. Ironcaster. Thoughts on the Michigan primaries? There is only one that actually matters. Again, I can't remember the exact name. Force out the impeachers. Make sure to vote, though. If you've got a primary today, August 2nd, make sure to go and take a ballot. Go and vote. Do your civic duty. No Yenes, have you ever had menudo sticks? Yes, I have had cow stomach soup, and I goddamn loved it. Red menudo, by the way. I thought it was one of the most delicious things I've ever had. I can't even imagine if you used like the authentic homemade ingredients. I had it mostly from a can. I think I ate 5 bowls of it, actually, with a lot of bread, of course. Some people are like, whoa, it's cow stomach. That's a little bit weird. It's not weird. Trust me, it's delicious. Razael Levelhead sent $1 Canadian. No comment, thank you. Ninja Bearfish, is Nancy about to get exploded while you're live? While that would be funny, it is unlikely. So yeah, we're waiting till later this month on Biden's student loan bullshit. He'll probably just pause the loans further so as not to implode the economy even further than he already has. I wish I could kill this fly. Oh, I think I injured it. Go fly off elsewhere. Go away, I'm dangerous. Jake of all trades 111. What about government work in exchange for student loan forgiveness, military, first response, social work, or just pay it off? I have no problem with offsetting people's student loans with some sort of investment scheme if they're willing to join like the Conservation Corps or something, because then they're doing work. Well, that's the whole point. Mr. Wonderful. Many Australian universities doubled the fees on social science degrees last year. A great troll on the gullible parents who pay for them. Excellent. Uper0987. I wish I could vote here in Michigan, but I'm stuck in the ICU. You didn't get like an early mail-in ballot or something? Anyway, we'll get to the third news story. This one is just for humor. Some TikTokers revolted by Gordon Ramsay video appearing to pick a lamb to slaughter. Ramsay posted a video of himself climbing into a pen of roughly 10 pristine white lambs. In the video, Ramsay rubbed his hands together while repeatedly saying, "Yummy." Well, I mean, it is yummy. Celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay is facing backlash on TikTok, of all places. Who gives a shit? From some users after posting a video in which he appeared to select a lamb to slaughter for a meal. On Thursday, Ramsay posted the video of himself climbing into a pen of roughly 10 pristine white lambs. In the video, Ramsay rubbed his hands together while repeatedly saying, "Yummy. I'm going to eat you," the chef said to the group of lambs. Then he asked, "Which one's going in the oven first?" He selected a sheep, pointing and saying, "You." Ramsay, 55, then jumped into the pen, startling some of the sheep. My God, that's animal abuse. The chef and restaurateur clarified later that no animals were cooked in the making of this video, according to Insider, which first reported on the backlash. Ramsay captioned the video, "The lamb sauce was still not found in the making of the video," a reference to a 2006 meme derived from a scene on the show Hell's Kitchen in which he asked a contestant for lamb sauce. Oh boy. So some appeared to find humor in the bit. Others were upset about the video and the way Ramsay appeared to taunt the animal headed to slaughter. So he ate meat. Can I ask all of the TikTokers something? All 10 of you that aren't bots or Chi-coms. Where the fuck do you think that meat comes from? I don't mind a good vegetarian meal. In fact, most of the meals that I cook, I've noticed, are actually vegetarian. And some of them are even vegan. Like, you can do a lot with coconut milk and butter and shit like that. Where do you think that the steak that you just ate came from? Do you think that animal was killed before you ate the steak, or is the steak, ethereal or something like that? It just materialized on your plate. I have a feeling that much like the NIMBYists believe that vegetables just sort of grow on the grocery shelves. Like, basically, those little sprayers they have above the shelves. I have a feeling that there are actually people out of touch enough so they think that when the sprayers turn on, vegetables grow on the grocery shelf or something like that. They don't understand that little 12-year-olds in Mexico are the ones picking the vegetables. Likewise with meat. Meat comes from slaughtering animals. Pound them in the fucking head. Chop their fucking head off. Drain their fucking blood. Bathe in their fucking blood. Who cares? They're already dead. It's going to be turned into steaks anyway. Who cares? Who gives a fucking shit? And they're jumping down his throat over this. And I find it hilarious. They're worried about him taunting the lambs, saying, "Oh, you're yummy. You're going in the oven first." Who cares? The lamb can't speak English. It can't speak any human language. Scano, hey Sticks, what's your opinion on China's property crash? Seems to be the beginning of the end there. Yes, we might actually see in the next year or two what I have predicted for years, which is the paper tiger finally catching fire. I hope so. The death of China as a major player in the world's economic situation would be the best thing in the entire world. China collapsing would be good for the world. It'd be difficult temporarily. Thereafter, it would be good. Daniel Akuma, hey Sticks, in 4 years, moving to Vermont to buy land, garden like a boss, raise kids around my girlfriend's family in Plainfield. Suppose you were moving to Vermont instead of New Hampshire. What concerns would you have? Pros and cons. Help me, Tarlwan Kenobi. I wouldn't bother moving to Vermont, in all honesty. When I look at Rutland, and I look at the tales that I get from the people that I know back home, it's been ruined. The old Rutland, the good old boy sort of Art Deco laced, almost 20s style downtown is a wreck. There are homeless people everywhere, drugs everywhere. There's crime that's beginning to metastasize. Same with Burlington. And Vermont is a duty to retreat state. It's not no guns, but you can't use them to defend yourselves. And so crime is spiraling out of control. It's not a problem that you have in New Hampshire. I would move to Keene or Claremont or something like that. Hell, even Manchester, New Hampshire is probably better than most parts of Vermont now. I've become black-pilled about the future of my home state. Thankfully, I was born in New Hampshire, so I have 2 home states, technically speaking. Vera7331, do you follow Joshua Wiseman's cooking channel? No, I haven't heard of it. Thank you for the recommendation. Seung-sation, meat is fruit of the womb when you think about it. Yes, and if you're eating dead things, it's from the womb of the tomb. Jake of all trades, 111, ethereal steak, new brand name, I call it. Yeah, it's laced with LSD. You're not supposed to cook it too much. Daniel Akuma, you may love urban farmer Curtis Stone on YouTube. No yenas. What would happen if China were to collapse? Well, China would get fucked in the ass, and that would be a good thing. The U.S. would have to get its cheap shit from another country, which would be all the better. We can draw somebody else into trade that doesn't have the severe authoritarianism that China retained in the wake of the mid-'80s. Westfield 90, do you agree with Lil Ben Shapiro that the GOP blew it in Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania with flawed, bad candidates? No. We have to see what happens today in Arizona. I have a feeling that Kari Lake will win. As far as Georgia, Herschel Walker is still within the margin of error in many polls, although I do favor Warnock to win. You'll notice that Stacey Abrams is losing handily against Kemp there. And as far as Pennsylvania, yeah, I would agree with him that Oz was a bad choice. Haverkamp Harassment Chronicles. Is it hard to make friends in New Hampshire or Vermont? No, it's quite personable. Next story. Economist slams Facebook for absolutely Orwellian fact-checking, upholding Biden's recession denial. Facebook and PolitiFact upheld President Biden's recession claims. Yes, indeed, they are upholding the concept that we're not in a recession because Joe Biden says so. Just to be clear about how useless fact-checking is and how stupid Facebook is. Now, I don't know that the latter matters much because the average person using Facebook actively now is like 70 years old. It's become your grandparents' platform, and so nobody really gives a shit. As far as some of the fact checkers go, fewer and fewer people give a shit about what they say, but it is quite funny that you're going to check facts and then you don't have your facts in line. It's very interesting. Economists have typically defined the term as 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. And yet just sharing that caused Facebook to flag it and put a fact check notice on my page. So yes, if you tell the truth, because Wikipedia and a couple of other sites have decided to change what true is, you will be fact checked on Farcebook. There are people that still use that platform. I have not in, God, how many years has it been since I've used Facebook for anything other than video messaging? I don't even know that I can get on my Facebook now. They want my personal info, and I'm not willing to give it to them. Don Peace, New Hampshire is nice, but gloomy. I don't find it gloomy. Sunnier than Vermont. My channel, G115. Check out Brian Lagerstrom's YouTube cooking show. Aaron Bennett. With recent polling, do you think fortification will occur during the midterms, or will it have been mitigated enough to be not an issue? I'm hopeful that the latter is the case. We need to look at the Arizona gubernatorial race, the GOP primary, more than anything else right now. Kari Lake was endorsed by Trump. Robson was endorsed by Pence. Okay, so the establishment clearly wants Robson. There is a near 10-point gap with aggregate polling, but you do have one-off Emerson poll that showed Robson ahead, actually, by a point the other day. My belief is that this is an attempt to astroturf in case fortification actually is fruitful there. So if you fortified the election and it's successful, you can say, well, look, there was velocity in the direction of the Pence candidate. Clearly, Mike Pence is now the leader of the Republican Party. Trump is pooping his pants and he's infantile and all of this propagandistic horseshit. We have to wait and see. But if you're in Arizona, you better get a fucking ballot. Long Don John, any chance of China bailing itself out through currency manipulation, economic manipulation, or other means? Also, chances of other world governments bailing them out. Other world governments won't bail them out. They're the money sponge. They're the ones that bleed money in order to try to win influence in other countries, rather. What'll end up happening is they can try, but if investment dries up, they're fucked. And that's really the weakness of China. And I've talked about it before. Their weakness is that they're entirely reliant on Western investment. We have a super chat, a Rumble rant over on Rumble. Iron Rumble 44. Can you live stream on Odyssey? Yes, I can. I am choosing to use Twitch instead because I noticed that almost nobody was watching on Odyssey. I don't know what's wrong with their system as far as their searchability, but I wasn't noticing, I get 50 people watching or something like that. I get more than that on Twitch, so there's no point to it. They need to fix their system the same as Rumble needs to fix their Rumble rants system so that you don't automatically go all the way down to the bottom of the page when somebody comments. YouTube needs to fix everything about its system. Wise heard that Pelosi might be in a U.S. plane in the air over the Philippines right now, flying north towards Taiwan. PLA is on alert. Interesting or theater? It's just horseshit. Nobody cares. I don't care if her plane goes into the drink or if she lands and does her incoherent shtick in Taipei, and neither do the Taiwanese people. We toke Bitcoin. Secure your future now. Buy Bitcoin. I've already got, 0.7 something Bitcoins or something. I have several tens of thousands of dollars in cryptocurrency, and I'm keeping it. Now, the next news story. Oh, this one is hilarious. Oh, boy. Greg Price relating this one. This is an MSNBC bit. Please do, by the way, go to the links in the description. You can look at this for yourself, and unfortunately, I can't play it for you because I might get banned if I do. Herschel Walker will do what he's told, and that's what Republicans want from their Negroes, says MSNBC. This is a bit with Joy Reid here. They've got the hair pick id polar there. It's that one craptivist there with the white afro, and he just looks insane most of the time. He's an extreme race baiter. I can't remember his name. He goes on there with Joy Reid every once in a while. He goes on other places as well. And the idea is that Herschel Walker, he's gone off the reservation. So he's got his own opinions. They happen not to be the opinions of Biden or of AOC or something. So he's an Oreo. He's not an acceptable black man because he has his own opinions. Ergo, they say, well, it's actually white people's opinions. And he's being a good kept house hand, so to speak. I can't even use the real wording that you would generally use. Maybe if this was an exclusive stream or something, I'd really be able to unleash. There'd be some N-words in there, I suppose, because they're basically dropping them. Oh, yeah, Cornel West. Yes, Cornel West is the name of this moron, this fruitcake here. I guess the idea is that Herschel Walker is brainless because he played sports. And everyone knows if you happen to play sports, you are automatically brainless. It's just like if you happen to be nerdy or like generally into academic things like me, clearly you're weak and pathetic and don't know how to talk to women and all of these other things. It's interesting, all of the stereotypes that are used by people who claim to be trying to fight stereotypes. Very interesting there now, isn't it? Yes, Oscar Gonzalez, it is the brown sugar shuffle. They want Herschel Walker to shuffle around and say, oh, yeah, I'm back on the plantation. I know what I'm supposed to do. You're the ones that are trying to keep people like that on the plantation, dude. As a non-Republican, I don't see the Republicans would shit their pants. They don't say shit to him. They say, oh, my God, you've got my support 100%. Do whatever you want. Say whatever you want, please. Be very libertarian about things. They would shit their pants if any Republican, like a white Republican, came out and tried to say this to Herschel Walker and say, well, I don't agree with your opinion on whatever, taxes, guns, whatever it happens to be. I disagree with your opinion. You should rethink your opinion. They would get dogpiled by every other Republican as being racist. Oh, my God, how dare you not consider his opinion as a black man to be concordant with yours? You're trying to explain to him from this privileged white perspective or something like that. Meanwhile, these morons can come out and call him a house Negro effectively, and nothing happens. MSNBC is fond of doing this, by the way. Westfield 90. Heard Cheney and Kinzinger still stick around till end of year, giving them more time to do more damage. Yeah, but they're deadbeats, and they're out pretty soon. I think 2 weeks until Liz Cheney is officially lame duck. Good riddance. Lucas Zupan, Odyssey's app is janky, or you might get more views. Yeah. Illy 2, if we had a vegetable in chief Biden fraudulently put into office, what makes you think a turnip like Clinton can't be forced in? Clinton doesn't even appear to want to run. I think that she's had the radish politically. Battle Elf, strange fruit, watermelon shuffle. Jesus Christ. Careful, you're going to get as racist as MSNBC. You can actually be banned for that shit. If Joy Reid wants to come on and use the N-word over and over, that stupid N-word, something like that, something clearly racist, she won't get in any trouble at all. Colin Madden, I loved living in Laconia, New Hampshire as a kid. Bike weeks a little much, but otherwise pretty good. Yeah, I'm thinking of like Keene. Keene seems nice. They used to have a really good buffet there. Unfortunately, I think they closed down years ago. Next news story. Why this Democrat thinks Biden must resign before the midterms. This is a New York Post article. What was the Democrat here? It was Andrew Stein, who wrote this article. I'm actually going to seemingly, and I don't mean this, but people will construe it that way, I'm going to seemingly defend Joe Biden on this. And now I'm taking my partisan hat off because, of course, I want Biden to lose. I wish that he was gone. Good riddance. I hope the Democrats get crushed in the midterms. I'm taking my partisan hat off, therefore. I'm taking my I hope they lose hat off. And I'm putting on just my proper, truthful, accurate analysis hat. So this is just my opinion as far as what would happen as far as the midterms. If Joe Biden were to be crazy enough to resign before the midterms, the number of people that would get on board the Democratic Party would be so far outweighed by the number of people that would get off. It would be goddamn crazy. Andrew Stein is completely wrong, strategically speaking. Again, I'm not supporting Joe Biden, but if he were to resign, that would be the death knell of their chances. They would not retain the Senate. It would look terrible. Hey, we got this dude in there, not very popular. He's in the mid-30s approval-wise. And we just convinced him to resign. He's going to the pasture. He's sundowning out on his ranch in Delaware or something like that. Don't you think that would be an admission of leaderlessness and defeat? Just saying. I hate to give advice to the Democrats, but this is about the worst possible thing you could do. And if it does happen, and I don't think that it will, if Joe Biden tomorrow were to come out and say, well, I'm too old for this shit, fuck you, goodbye, you would probably lose every contested Senate seat. You would certainly lose the House. It would not even be close. Fucking Newt Gingrich, his prediction would end up coming true. Think about it. These people actually talk to people like the president or governors and shit and give them advice on strategy and shit like that too. Just to be clear, they're not getting their advice from the best and brightest most of the time. I wish that Trump would hire me as an unofficial advisor. You want to really crush the competition? Listen to me. Aaron Bennett, if the midterms go the MAGA way and Biden becomes a lame duck, do you think it will be the reverse in the 24 elections, or will it become more lopsided? It remains to be seen. We need to get closer to that election. People are already speculating about 24, and the midterms are still several months away. By the way, it is the time of year I get the most energetic and feisty, so I'm looking forward to it. No Yanas. Oy vey, Goyim, shut it down. Sussy baka. Stephen Kuhn, convinced climate change was mostly a grift when I found out 2 different inventors of water-powered cars died mysteriously. It's all about money. I don't believe those cars are that efficient, though, to be clear. I remember seeing those ads back in the fucking 2000s on Henry Macau's bullshit. I don't even know if he's still alive, by the way. He was the original MGTOW. He got roughed up by a couple of women in the United States or England or something, and decided to marry, I think, someone from the Philippines, and then had a bunch of things about manliness. It was very funny because he looks sort of like a pudgy fucking Newt Gingrich knockoff, actually. Westfield 90, hope Zawahiri story is true, but last time they told us they killed a terrorist was when they blew up small kids in Afghanistan. Yeah, that's the other part. We don't exactly know that he's even dead. How can we trust them? I don't see any picture of his vaporized eyeball or something like that. Next story. Parents, if you don't get a grip on your kids' social media, trans activists will. Be very afraid, everyone. The wokers are coming. Parents need to regulate their children's online use as influencers continue to thrive on social media apps like TikTok. Can I please ask something? Why is your 10-year-old using TikTok? I mean, I realize that it's catering to the tween demographic because the Chinese want to preemptively get all their personal information. As a parent, why are you allowing them to use such a network? And you're worried about activists on the network. Well, they're going to interact with the fucking content. Why don't you just tell them, no, you're not going to be using this network? It's really as simple as that. I wish that parents would stop blaming the network, blaming their kids, blaming government, lack of regulation or whatever, blaming craptivists. Blame yourself, you fucking moron. You're the one that allows them to use the network. You hand your 9-year-old a smartphone unsupervised and you're wondering why they're getting imbibed with crazy shit. It's your responsibility. You're the parent. Why don't we go back to an era of non-busybodydom and non-fucking pathetic nanny state cucking to the government and just say the parent is responsible? The parent is. They're the ones that are supposed to raise the kid. Dude, 2-3 generations ago, this was a sacrosanct mentality. All of a sudden, millennial and Gen X parents are so far goddamn out to lunch that they're not even willing to monitor in half of the cases what their kids are doing. Oh my God, I wonder why my daughter was scantily clad doing gymnastics on TikTok and a bunch of pervs were trying to talk to her. It's because of you. You allowed it to happen. Oh my God, my son was doing the shoot yourself in the head challenge because of YouTube or something. We've been facing this shit for more than a decade. The Tide Pod challenge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Jankum. All of these. God, you could go back to the 2000s, you find this shit. Why don't the parents do something? It's not my responsibility to suffer under more laws or pay more money or have more impediments on content creation because you suck. You're the one that sucks. You're a shitty parent. Maybe your kid should be taken off and raised by somebody else. You're the problem. It's lazy parents are the problem. I realize that there are parents, they work very hard. They both got 9-to-5s and shit. And they're like, oh my God, we can barely afford education for our kid. Take a little bit of time to help raise them then. It's not society's problem. You don't want society raising your kid. That's why we have this problem. When you look at the pink-haired activists trying to tell your kid to chop their cock off, keep in mind that they probably were not raised in a wholesome situation. It was probably because parents like you raised them. That's the whole problem. God damn. I apologize for going off a little bit against these people, but Jesus Christ, they fucking deserve it. Someone needs to talk some sense into them, smack them in the head a couple times. Mr. Wonderful, seeing a bare-chested Six wearing a Brando jacket in deep discussion with Trump in the Oval Office is too cool. Yeah, he should definitely hire me as an advisor. He wouldn't have any problems winning, that's for sure. Crucial Bunny, new word to replace groomer, non-sense. No, I believe twiddler is the replacement term on Twitter. And then we have Redditor, like Predator, on Reddit. Battle Elf. If everyone defaults, will Sally Mae go kaput? I don't know. Lucas Zapan. Parents, that's too much personal responsibility. Exactly. JavaScript foe over on Twitch. Are you a Trumper? I will vote for Trump if he runs again. Absolutely. Yeah, hell yeah, I want a doubling down of his tax rates. Yeah, I want the border secure. It'd be nice if we didn't get into World War III. I think these are all positive things. Colin Madden, you guys considering homeschool for the rugrat when the time comes? Best decision me and the wife made. Yes, I've already decided against public schooling, certainly within the U.S. context. Of course, there are no good public schools left in the U.S. I just think that we should defer on school-related taxes for people that don't put them in the public school. You use a private school, you're paying the tuition and shit. You shouldn't have to pay a school tax. You're homeschooling, you should get that money yourself because you are the teacher. Next one is Washington Examiner presents Restoring America. This is by the Washington Examiner at large. Congress should not legalize marijuana, by the Washington Post. And it talks about opioid overdoses and death is not the only potentially deleterious health consequence. The smoking of cannabis causes lung and heart maladies and testicular cancer. I did not know that. Something slick marketing of legalization has left many users unaware of. Okay, what if you're a female? I guess you can smoke weed all day. You don't have testicles. Oh, wait, that's right. Tumblr and Reddit have convinced me otherwise. You can have testicles and be female. You can be a male and have a womb and I don't know. I don't even fucking know anymore at this point. That's the funny part. Everything's gone crazy. Fuck the whole world. Let it burn. And we have another one over on Rumble. I'll get back into the weed one in a second. Year 0. I bought land in Bradford, New Hampshire last year to later find out that's where Maxwell was picked up. Oh, Ghislaine Maxwell? Well, keep an eye. Maybe do some archaeology. Maybe you'll find some archaeological remains from when she was nabbed. That'd be funny. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. To work out the kinks for the sleazy midterm stream, you and him should do a Metal Mythos on Guar stream. It would be sleazy and Razor would be jealous. Well, we're not trying to make Razor jealous. I want to have him on as a guest during the midterm live stream. Stay tuned. No Yenes, where do you learn to cook? Do you just wing it? I use online recipes, but I typically don't follow them to the book. I modify them. I sort of cook by nose the same way you would play by ear with an instrument. and it often works and sometimes not. Like I've got some cabbage soup in the fridge. It's loosely based on a recipe I saw online, but it's got quite a few differences. I thought it was delicious. Douglas Ernst, as a gay Catholic conservative, I don't think we should be paying for anyone's college. I agree. We shouldn't have to. But yeah, as far as marijuana goes, I do agree in one sense. Congress doesn't need to legalize marijuana. All it needs to do is decriminalize it. Just don't have any laws on the books regarding marijuana at all. If somebody's driving under the influence, it remains DUI, whether it's marijuana, alcohol, whatever else, alcohol being legal. That's fine. If somebody is combative, if they attack somebody, it can be considered an aggravating factor, potentially. Otherwise, you don't need any laws on it at all. Let people grow all the pot they want. Let them trade it amongst themselves. Let them smoke it if they want. As long as they're being responsible, as most potheads actually are, it's not a problem. There are people that will become a problem. If it's not pot, they'll just drink themselves to death or they'll use some other drug. Doc, will we ever get a Sticks cookbook based off your favorite recipes? Yeah, potentially, but I've got a lot more cooking to do before that happens. I'm not going to fly by the seat of my pants and do a half-assed cookbook when I've just mastered a handful of recipes. So yeah, they're trying to lambaste marijuana. It's funny because it's completely legal here in the Netherlands, and I'm not seeing some of the social problems that you're claiming exist, including massive testicular cancer numbers. It's funny because it doesn't seem to be a problem. Hell, most of the soft drugs are decriminalized effectively here. If you get a few mushrooms, you're not going to get thrown in jail for it. You have to get up towards cocaine or crack or heroin or something like that before the police even give a shit. Where's the societal problems? I see a handful of people occasionally that are clearly high or more often drunk in public. It's not really a problem. It doesn't seem to be lending itself to all the violent crime that you claim exists because of people getting high off weed. Douglas Ernst, when will society learn to accept people from all walks of life? As a gay Catholic conservative, no community really accepts me, Sticks. It's wrong. You don't need to be part of a community. Make your own. That's the entire key. Surround yourself with people who appreciate you for who you are and say fuck the whole world. Everyone else can burn. That's what I've done. Most clankers disagree with me on one or more major issues, but we get along. We're all clankers. There's a glue that holds us together. The belief that the spoon should remain in the coffee when you are drinking it is very fucking important. That's what I'm talking about. Butter a war. Apparently there's a magic school in upstate New York not far from Rutland. Thoughts? Clank, clank. I think I actually got contacted by them to try to produce material at one point. I think it might be the same one. I told them I wasn't really interested. I'm not really into that shit. I don't need to get paid to make occult videos. Fuck, I've made almost 400 of them. They're all for free, so enjoy. Now we've got the Zelenskys. Really funny. The Zelenskys Vogue publicity misfire. Is an Annie Leibovitz shoot the best way to appeal to middle America's sympathies? Yes, indeed. Slightly belated, though, we have a coverage of the Zelenskys. You'll remember they were on the cover of Vogue not that long ago. The legendary 19th century showman P.T. Barnum is credited with first uttering the words, "All publicity is good publicity." Barnum had the good sense to die a century before he had the chance to see Zelensky's Vogue photo shoot. Myra Flores actually was sharing this out. I like Myra Flores, by the way. If you're in Texas, you should support her. Biden, let's continue to send billions of dollars in foreign aid to Ukraine. They need it. Reality, the Zelensky family graces us with a photo shoot to be on the cover of Vogue magazine. They look like a happy couple. I mean, I'm not going to criticize them for doing the publicity thing. How does this help your war effort, though, is my question. How many Russians did this Vogue photo shoot kill? Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his wife posed for renowned photographer Annie Leibovitz. In one shot, Olena stands near Ukrainian female soldiers at the Antonov airport. In another, she holds hands with her husband in the presidential office compound in Kiev as the pair stare pensively at the camera. In perhaps the oddest photo, Zelensky is sitting behind his wife, pressing his cheek to hers and looking pointedly at the camera in a manner best described as Zoolander-esque. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have worked, dog. It hasn't magically materialized a bunch more partisans that say, oh, he's got a cute wife. We must simp for her by taking up arms. Oh, he looks like such a good guy. I feel so bad for the Ukrainians. Let me donate $20 more to the relief fund or something. Whoops. It backfired because it's Vogue. He went on the cover of Vogue in the middle of a war. Yes, I'm sure that his advisors, by the way, greenlighted this, just to be clear. Rusty Ragface sticks for the win. I finally caught this live show live. Clank. What are the fertilizers you mentioned a few weeks ago that increase the size of vegetables? Azomite. Azomite. It's just a powder. It's just rock powder. It doesn't contain like the nitrogen, phosphate, etc. sort of stuff that you need generally for crops. What it does is restore micronutrients that tend to be lacking in a lot of soils. You don't need much of it. A very, very small amount per plant will be enough. One bag, like 2 or 3 pounds would be enough for a decent sized garden for an entire year. And what this does, when the plants have the proper micronutrients, zinc and so forth, they tend to be more resistant to disease. When the plant doesn't get diseased, it tends to grow better. And that's really the long and short of it. And it's cheap, or at least it was years ago. To tell the truth, it might be $1,000 now under Bidenomics. Ghost of Speedy, did you ever stream on PlayStation 4 Ustream? No, I never even knew that existed. I did a bit of gaming in the past. I would do Minecraft, but their site doesn't work. The account doesn't work. Microsoft has ruined it, and fuck them. It'd be nice, I suppose, to do that again. Imagine I can do the fucking live streams and I'm playing Minecraft the whole time. That'd be all right. Go punch some zombies and shit. Punch a tree. Now we have Pelosi expected to visit Taiwan. Taiwanese and the U.S. officials say, yeah, she is going to Taiwan. The problem is that in the same 24-hour period, the United States government also reiterated that they don't believe in Taiwanese sovereignty. So it's basically a whole lot ado about nothing. It means absolutely nothing. The Chinese are the only ones pretending that this particular visit even has any relevancy. And their state media attaches on Twitter have been violating TOS, making all sorts of violent threats against Pelosi. We're going to retaliate. We're going to do something. Hey, if you're escorted by F-16s or something like that, it's basically an act of war and maybe you'll get shot down. You'll notice that those accounts are all still up, by the way. That's because Twitter is partially owned by the Chicoms. As of right now. Maybe when Elon Musk takes over, that'll change. It'd be funny if Xinhua News got kicked off the fucking site for botting. Nobody cares if Pelosi's there. I don't even know why I'm fucking talking about it. It's so irrelevant. I guess it's just because other people are talking about it. During a regular foreign ministry briefing Monday, China warned against the egregious political impact of Pelosi's planned visit to the self-governing island that China claims as part of its territory and reiterated that its military won't sit by idly if Beijing feels its sovereignty and territorial integrity is being threatened. Dude, we're sending Pelosi. Calm the fuck down. If we were sending Donald Trump or somebody else who is a serious adult, then you have to worry. Nancy Pelosi can't even keep the shit in her pants. She has to wear Depends just like Joe Biden does. Stop fucking pretending to be worried. And really, it's pretense. They know better than to care. At the end of the day, while all of China is illegitimate and it's really West Taiwan, and Taipei is the sole governing authority of all China, and while the United States should move towards a one China policy that recognizes Taipei, as we did up until about 1974, by the way, as that legitimate governing body, until such time, China doesn't have anything to worry about. Nobody's going to go to war over Pelosi. Nobody even cares if you fire on her and knock her out of the air. Pelosi goes spiraling into the Pacific Ocean. Who in the United States even gives a fucking shit? She's irrelevant. We get a new House Speaker. Don't know exactly who's next in line for it. And a crazy lady dies. Okay. Real impressive, China. No Yanez. Vladimir versus Volodymyr. Cartoon tier coincidence. Many such cases over in Eastern Europe. There's a lot of Vladimirs over there with multiple spellings. So yeah, Pelosi is going to visit Taiwan. The Chinese are pretending that this is a major thing and a huge antagonism. They're just doing this to try to get some deal cut or something, to lay the groundwork for extorting Biden. And they'll probably be successful because he's completely mindless. And then the final news story as we go up on the hour. Tensions between Kosovo and Serbia. Why NATO is prepared to intervene. Yes, indeed, the countries that killed off each other's population back in the 1990s may go to war, and you'll never guess why. Over license plates. Yes, Serbian license plates were being used in Kosovo, actually, for people of Serbian extraction there, and they were accepted. They were considered road legal. Nobody had a problem. The people of Kosovo have decided that they're going to force the ethnic Serbs that are there to use their own Kosovar license plates. Now, here's the problem. Don't you think that now is not the time to stir the pot against the ethnic Serbians in your country? On this, I guess I got to be Team Serbia, which I know is the anti-NATO position, supposedly. You're harassing these people, despite the fact that you have, for 20 plus years, accepted their licensing system as being effectively in Serbian, as not being centrally issued by your own government. I would also point out that Kosovo is extremely small and powerless, and that if the Serbians truly want to overrun you, it's not going to take very much effort for them to do so. They beat the shit out of some of the NATO forces back in the 90s. They had all sorts of decoy systems. One of them, they would have like a little pit or cave like up in the mountains, and they would use a heating element and a decoy. And the targeting systems used by the Western countries couldn't tell the difference, so they would expend missiles and shit like that on basically what was nothing more than a space heater covered in a decoy. And they would bomb them and waste huge amounts of time, manpower, ammo, and money in the process. I guess I have to be Team Serbia at the moment. Of course, if they aggressively invade Kosovo, which wants to be sovereign, that metric changes. But right now, it appears to be an abuse by the authorities of Kosovo. The seemingly mundane move is anything but, as the status of ethnic Serbs living near the border between Serbia and Kosovo is at the heart of a protracted conflict between the two governments. Kosovo declared its independence from Serbia in February 2008, but Serbia still considers Kosovo its province. So I guess the idea is that those evil Serbians are going to try to reunite. Oh my God, it'll be terrible. Can I ask a question? If you're going to inconvenience the Serbian minority living up near the border, how would that be different if they move in and they grab up Kosovo and say, okay, you're a non-entity now, you're part of Serbia, and they supposedly begin abusing non-Serbian minorities? What's the difference? Either way, somebody's being inconvenienced, somebody's being abused. It just happens to be a question of who, where have you invested more money, I guess, is the determinant on who you support in this particular struggle. Hell Radio lives. The media would just tout Pelosi as a martyr. Sigh. They would try, but nobody really cares. Even the Democrats wouldn't care if she croaked. Oh, the Chinese killed Nancy Pelosi? Oh, okay. Wah. Iron Rumble 44 sent you $2 with no comment over on Rumble. Thank you. Andy Rule. Fuck the establishment. Carrie Lake, Arizona, all the way. Did my part, waiting on a new tech stream exclusive. Yes, tomorrow there will be a live stream. I will definitely be talking about the results of these races. Hell, if all four of them go the wrong way and the Mike Pence and Dorsey and a bunch of lame establishmentarians win, I'll still cover it, just to be clear. I'll just sit there and say, well, I guess that's that. Fortification occurred. It's the only way in which that, by the way, will happen. It's going to be pretty great. Make sure, by the way, if you voted for Carrie Lake, as you're saying that you did, which is good. Congratulations, Andy Rule. Make sure to get someone else who is reluctant to vote to do the same. I mean, we're talking about a situation in which there could be a few tens of thousands of votes separating the winner and the loser, even with a significant margin of victory. That is not that many people. That's a small town's worth. That's like my hometown's worth. It could be, it could be close. Hell, how many votes would separate if it were a 5-point gap? And that's within the realm of possibility. Not even 10,000, I might say would be too many. Varying Redbeard, real chat. We always have real chat here. So yes, over license plates of all things, the Serbians and the Kosovarans may actually trade jabs. NATO is standing by They're standing by and monitoring the situation, I suppose. Very, very interesting. I think, is Serbia even part of NATO? I think they've sat it out, but I think Kosovo is. So that would be a difficulty for the Serbians, I suppose. Don't you have better things to do, everyone, than fuck around with license plates? Can't you just, like, I don't know, build a peace gate on your border or something like that, and then talk about how great your former opponents were? Aren't half the people that fought in that fucking war dead anyway? Why don't you just fucking grow up? Jesus Christ. It's about time for people to act like mature adults. Or actually act more like kids. Be fucking hippies or something like that. It'd still be a better world than what we've got right now. We've got the worst of all possible worlds because of the globalist shitheads that are currently running things. Or just reform Yugoslavia. It seemed to work for a while. Its budget, it balanced the budget. Its economy was way better than the Eastern Bloc that it was originally part of. Yeah, Tito did nothing wrong. He threatened to have Stalin killed once after Stalin failed to assassinate him on the third attempt. Said, well, you should stop that because otherwise I'll retaliate and I won't need 3 tries or something to that effect. He's a hardcore motherfucker. Apparently when he was sick, he had to have his gun hidden from him because they were afraid he would actually blow his own head off. JDA 79, Arizona here, got my Trump ballot in. Oh, Trump? Trump's not up for election right now in Arizona. Oh, it's Kari Lake. If you voted for Donald Trump for governor, that's a problem. Whoops. Can you imagine? That probably happened too. You don't like either of the candidates. You don't like Robson. You don't like Lake. So you're like, fuck it, Mickey Mouse. Capt Blasto. Reform Yugoslavia. Rename it Slobovia. Mad Magazine approves. No, Yugoslavia was pretty hardcore. Worked, again, with a mixed model economy, and one of the founding members, along with India and a couple of others, I think South Africa maybe, of the non-aligned movement, actually was doing pretty well compared to what it could have been if it had kept hardline leftism. No Yanez. David Hogg is encouraging the left to eat each other. Oh, I have no problem with that. Yeah, I encourage cannibalism for people that I disagree with because then there will be less people I disagree with. And then they can't ramble about climate change. You took a polluter out of the world and you didn't even waste the meat. You can be like Hannibal Lecter. By the way, I wanted to vent about one thing. Come to think of it, thinking of Hannibal Lecter. There are so many people who thought Hannibal Rising was a shitty film. I know this has nothing to do with news or politics, but bear with me. I thought it was masterful, actually. I can't remember the name of the actor, but I thought he did an extremely good job of portraying a young Hannibal Lecter. Sort of reminded me a little bit of other people. What the fuck is his name there? The dude that did Matrix, and he was in Dracula. Keanu Reeves, of course. Reminded me a little bit of Keanu Reeves, actually. I thought he did a good job. He was supposed to be emotionless. People are like, oh my God, his acting is so dead. Basically, that is Hannibal Lecter. It's the whole fucking point. Hannibal was a good movie. Red Dragon less so, by the way. Jesse Miller at the Crow's Nest. Exactly. We can win by 5,000 votes and they'll just print 6,000. And we won't be able to do anything about it because we've been told what's best. That's why you need to win by 15,000 so that they can't print enough. They are limited in their capabilities. We did see this, by the way, in 2020. The Honkening was one race out of literally thousands that were taking place. They lost virtually everywhere else. They do not have the means to fortify literally every election. And of course, this is a GOP primary. So the neocons can try, but it doesn't involve the Democrats. So go and vote for Kari Lake if you happen to be in Arizona. Gaspard Ulliel is the name of the actor? Well, I thought he did a good job. Haven't watched it in a long time. I thought it was highly aesthetic. It was a lot like Hannibal when you think about it. You had a lot of the opera and the art and stuff, and it took a more refined approach to not just Hannibal Lecter, but the general atmosphere of the movie. The same is true of Hannibal Rising after the first act, after the first 30 minutes. You get the same general feel. I don't know why people panned it. Yes, the acting was wooden from the main character. It's supposed to be a teenaged Hannibal Lecter. What else do you fucking expect? The whole entire point is that he doesn't show emotion. Just saying, a hill I'm willing to die on defending that movie. Lucas Zupan, top 3 horror films. I would say Brotherhood of the Wolf, although it is not just horror. That's my favorite movie of all time. Ninth Gate by Polanski, actually. Yes, I know that he's a kitty diddler who's fled to Switzerland, but the movie was good. Also has Johnny Depp in it, so redeeming factor. And Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead from 81, I believe it was. Gotta get Harry P757 saying Red Dragon is a better movie. Red Dragon was the most boring cringe fest I think that I've ever seen. There was no redeeming facet to the movie, other than Anthony Hopkins happens to be in it. And that's really why I think people panned Hannibal Rising. There was no Hopkins. They had an attempt to replace Anthony Hopkins, which doesn't work. But they couldn't have found a better actor to try, and he didn't do a bad job. People give it like a 2 out of 10 or something like that. Holy shit. At the very least, it was watchable. At the very least, give it a 5 or a 6. You get the same atmosphere as Hannibal. You get the same basic premise, effectively. You get the opera and the theater and the artsy sort of side of it, and then the emotionlessness. What else do you want? What else can you possibly want? Yeah, The Exorcist would be on my top 5 list. I'd put that at number 4, I guess. And Dagon, actually, which is a Spanish horror film from the early 2000s, based on Lovecraft mythos. Extremely gory, lots of nudity, by the way, for those of you that are into that. Watch Dagon. I think it was 2001 or 2002. Hannibal was horrid and not in a good way. I disagree, my friend. I thought that it was the right striking of gory and weird, like Hannibal Lecter opening someone's head up to eat his brain, and artistic. I thought it was very, very good. Anyway, I think that I'm going to go off now. I've gone. I'm going over an hour 10, and I've started to talk about movies, so that's not a good sign for the next 10 minutes or so. Jack Perry sticks after a month hiatus from Poli-Sci. Now it's playoff night. Yes, tonight is playoff night for MAGA and Rhino before Florida tonight. Trump versus Pence. Yes, indeed. Effectively in Arizona, we have a matchup between Trump and Pence. So vote for Kari Lake. Let's bury Mike Pence once and for all politically. He's not going to come back from that. If he can't get Robson to win, clearly his endorsement means nothing. He will probably, if Robson loses, probably not run in 24. And that's what we want. We want him to shove himself into the dustbin of history and fuck the fuck off. James Willis, Nancy is the dragon foretold by the Han. Anthony Rodriguez, is nationwide Second Amendment carry rights ever going to be a thing in our lifetimes? It basically already is. You've got some litigation ongoing, but wait another 6 months to a year, and you're going to see, I think, mostly pro-gun decisions from the courts. And Akrul over on Rumble, do not be discouraged by fraud. Make them do more fraud. Do not sit home and make excuses. Exactly. If they're going to cheat, force them to cheat so big that they get caught. That's the operative strategy. Yeah. Battle Elf, Pixies, best band of the 80s, 90s. I like the Pixies. I was a big Eurythmics fan as a kid, but Depeche Mode happens to be my favorite. And then Jack Perry, don't forget Missouri and Michigan. I didn't look into the Missouri race, but I'll give updates on Twitter later. I'll be looking into some politics tonight because, of course, it's literally primary day, and I need those fucking exit polls. If you have exit polls, any sort of analysis before the final votes are counted, I want it. Get it to me on Twitter DM. That's your job, all of you clankers out there. Anyway, I am going to go off here. About 4,500 people at peak as usual, so excellent. Tomorrow we will be recapping the races, Arizona and other states, Michigan, Washington State. It will be a fun time. Now is the final 100 days before the midterms. Now is really when Clankdom shines. It's analysis time. That's about all. Peace out.